Welcome to the MYBcast, a podcast devoted to exploring alternatives for self-care through somatic touch therapies of all sorts. We are fascinated with the mind-body connection, and so are the people we talk with. Today, we are continuing our series Seeds. Seeds is a podcast about a set of somatic touch principles that we call somatic mindfulness. When we integrate these principles in our work, what are we experiencing? What happens for different therapists who embody these principles? What changes in their practice, in their lives? In Seeds, we talk with members of our growing somatic mindfulness community. How are they adapting attuned touch to their work? And how are their clients responding? Seeds is for anyone interested in somatic mindfulness and what it can do for them. What's so beautiful about somatic mindfulness is that it recognizes the student in all of us, studying and developing this work that we love. The journey is a rich one that allows us to develop ourselves simply by being with our clients. I'm Madelana Ferrara. I'm here with my co-host Richard Mack. We're both masters of somatic movement therapy and education, as well as teachers of somatic mindfulness. We're co-founders of MYB, a successful somatic therapy clinic in Cedar Grove, New Jersey. Today, we are excited to talk with our guest, Dawne Ermert, and learn about what somatic mindfulness means to her and how it's impacting her work and her life.
Dawne, welcome to the show. It is so nice to see you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great.
Well, we're excited to have you to be here and tell your story. So I'm going to turn it over to Madelana, who's just got a couple of questions for you, but I want you to really just feel free to just share who you are and what you're experiencing.
Okay.
So, Dawn, it's really wonderful to meet you. And we always start the show with the same basic question to get a sense from our practitioners of what somatic mindfulness means to them. So, how would you describe somatic mindfulness?
So I say that somatic mindfulness to me is therapy for the brain through the body. Like you're doing mental health therapy through the body. Every time that you work on somebody, you change their life forever. Their brain is rewired, especially when you add IFS, parts work, or soul retrieval to it. That's what I do personally. I work with parts work, where we go in and we actually like talk to those specific parts that are being held from, the trauma in their bodies. Um, I have people that have come in and they do, work from the time they were 3 years old all the way up and they're in their 50s. And they do all that trauma work within the 2 hour span that they're with me. So for me, it is mental health work. It's just as much as it is body work, it is mental health.
I'd like to ask you, what drew you to somatic mindfulness? How did you first get involved with it? And tell us a little bit about why you came.
Well, honestly, my journey kind of started with looking for healing for myself. A long time ago, back when I got into body work, my daughter was having seizures, and I needed a job where I could kind of take off and be with her. And when we started school, they said, you have to give and receive massages 3 times a week. And I was like, great, I'll give massages, no problem, but I'm not going to be touched because I have a severe traumatic background. Um, but my instructor was really good to me, and he said, can I just massage your arm? Just, only your arm fully clothed, whenever it's time for you to receive a massage. And and then as you get more comfortable, then we could, you can kind of explore. He said, but I just want you to feel what it's like to feel safe in your body for once. And it took about 3 weeks, but my body finally just kind of went, and when it did, I thought, this is the first time I haven't felt anxiety. This is the first time I felt like at home in my body. And for me, like, then massage was like a mental health thing. I said we could do so much more than just body work with massage. And from that moment on, I went to doing like energy work and like if you could try it or if it could possibly work for the mental health, I dove into it through the body. I contacted my instructor years later after I had, started my own business, and I said, I'm looking for somatic work. I really think that is something that I need to get into. That's something I personally need, and that's something I want to give to others. And sure enough, Fernando's class popped up. There it was. And I signed up and never looked back.
So you were actively looking for somatic work at this point?
Yes.
What brought
Yes.
you there? Like, how did you know about it? What did it mean to you?
It sounds odd, but through plant ceremonies and, sitting with shamanic teachers and everything, like I had learned very early on that the body holds so much information. And I was looking for a way to unlock it. Like, and it wasn't happening through massage all the time. Now, sometimes I would massage people and they would have emotional releases and I'd be like, okay, whatever that was, I need more of that. But it didn't happen every time. So I was like, there's something that I'm missing here. And so I dove in and I looked all around for somatic classes. And it just so happened my instructor said, hey, one of them popped up. We've got somebody that's willing to teach it if you want to come. And I told her, sign me up. And that was a year in advance. So
Wow.
yeah.
So it sounds like, and I have a similar background to you, like
Hmm.
you were really seeking through a lot of different methods and approaches for
Hmm.
your own healing journey.
Yes. Yes.
So,
I had a pretty traumatic childhood. Um, and it didn't get much better until I got 18 and could really start to try to heal. And I promised myself that I was going to do whatever it took to get out of that hell I was living in. The mental struggles that I had, the flashbacks, the body aches. Like I hurt chronically every day for years until I met Richard and he completely changed my life and he worked on me. Um, Now, whenever I hurt, it's because I've had a long day and I've worked really hard, not because I'm just hurting chronically. Um, he gave me time with my daughter. He gave me, time where I could really spend time with my family again. I was missing so many functions. I was missing a lot of my life. I'm only in my 30s, so like it was almost like my life wasn't even getting to be lived out. It was being taken from me so early on. And
mm.
he gave that back to me. And I'll forever be grateful for you.
Oh, good job, Rick.
So thank you.
Dawn, thank you very much for sharing that. And it was an absolute pleasure working with you. If I may, just to take a moment, I remember that class as if it happened just yesterday. And
Mhm.
we were doing some demonstrations, and I was working on some people just to give them a sense of what this work was. And I remember the next day you came in very emotional, and you said, "I need this work." And you
Mhm.
just looked at me and said, "I need this work." And
Mhm.
that was it. We started the next day, that whole class with you on the table. And oh my God, what a day that was.
Yeah. Yeah. I broke out in some kind of tribal song at the end. There, I'm pretty sure I lived past lives. I'm not sure what happened, but it was magical.
It
Well,
was
I have a lot of
It truly
questions.
was.
Well, Madelana, since you weren't there, why don't you ask the questions and Dawn
I
will
Yeah.
try to answer them.
I was
Yeah.
not there. I was not there, but so I guess what happened in that moment where you said, I need this work? What happened? Do you remember it?
Um, so I had watched them kind of work with people all day. And I don't know, you can call it intuition. I don't know what it was, but the moment I seen Richard, I was like, he's the person. Like he's the one that can do this. Because I've looked for this healing for a long time, but I hadn't found the person that I felt could do it. Um,
can I ask you a very somatic mindfulness question?
Hmm.
Where did you feel that in your body?
All over. It was like a magnetic pull to him immediately. I just knew. I mean, like I had a connection with Fernando right away. Like I knew he was capable of doing a lot. But something about Richard, like the moment we met, I was like, I'm gonna be healed. Like this person is gonna change my life. I knew it. So
Wow.
I don't really know. Like I said, you can call it intuition, call it, you know, woo
Mhm.
woo. I don't know.
Mhm.
But I just knew.
Mhm.
So
So then what do you remember about it? Sounds like there were there was a lot that went on, but what do you remember about what happened with you and Richard at that point?
so I don't remember a whole lot from the actual session other than there were waves. It was like shock waves. And
Yeah.
at one point it felt like I was being like held down and drowned. It felt like like I was being pulled apart at sometimes. And I was just shaking uncontrollably. Like I don't even know how to explain it, but my body was convulsing with energy. And I kept feeling like my neck, I would think not good enough, and my neck would just go back and forth, and I could feel it like just leaving my body as it was happening. Um, uh, I remember him talking to me at the end. He looked me in the eyes and he kind of told me, like, this has been a wonderful experience and you're forever changed. And I knew it. I was like, that confirms it for me because like I knew my life will never be the same after this moment.
Yeah. And from my perspective, as soon as you got on the table, I felt the immediate, you had given me permission to work with you at
Hmm.
whatever level we needed to get to. And
Hmm.
at that moment, you and I made a heart connection and a bond. And in that
Hmm.
bond was we were going to get to the bottom of whatever this is. And I had
Yeah.
no idea. I mean, you did share your story, but
Hmm.
within that story, there was obviously a lot of things that were, who knows where all this trauma was coming from.
Yeah.
I do recall this, that I kept my hand on your heart for most of the session. And as you did go through and you went through waves, each
Hmm.
wave got bigger and bigger and bigger and violently shaking, but
Hmm.
just kind of just kept you, you're gonna do this, Dawn. You're okay. You're okay. And
Hmm.
you would kind of catch yourself going back and then just a moment later allow another. So it was like you were giving yourself permission to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And my job was just basically to hold that space for you, to give you a place that you felt safe and comfortable to do that work on yourself. You did the work, and I want to be really clear. I appreciate you giving me credit, but girl, you did the work. So
Well, thank you, but honestly, I have waited years for that kind of healing, and I don't think it would happen if I didn't meet you. So I credit you.
well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I'll take 50%, you take 50%, we'll call it good.
Why don't we give the divine a little inspiration? Because it was a
Yeah, that too.
trilogy that happened here. You, myself, and our divine guidance. When you just asked,
Yeah.
we asked for
Well, and
guidance.
you remember my tattoo of the
I
seal of sacred
do.
archangels? And we were talking about it, and you was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Oh, I
Wait,
definitely
you want to
remember that.
tell us a little bit about, well, I don't know what that tattoo is and what that story is.
Yeah.
So it's the seal of the seven archangels. And I actually got it for protection because I had a lot of spiritual attacks and some bad stuff happening. And I talked to somebody and they said, oftentimes you wear this around your neck or as a bracelet. Well, I am an all or none kind of gal. And so I was like, I'll get it on my body. So that's what I did. And he was
Right.
talking about it in class. I don't remember exactly what brought it up, but he brought it up, and then I flipped my arm over and showed him, and he was like, "Yes, that."
Well, I will say this, that my earliest days of doing anything with healing work was through ancient religions, of just
Hmm.
really understanding the divine intervention, the law
Hmm.
of one, and the angels and how they're here to help us. So I'm very familiar with that story. So when I saw that, I immediately knew that, yep, this is it.
Yeah.
And I wear my archangels around my neck.
Oh, really?
So, I really want to get into your personal story in a little bit, but I think we're going to do that in the second episode.
Okay.
How this is incredible, obviously dramatic for sure. How
Mhm.
did your professional life get impacted by what happened to you that day?
So I have people that come to me a lot. I don't know what brings them to me, but they're very comfortable sharing their traumas with me. Maybe because I'm very open about mine, and I would never want my clients to pour their heart out to me and me not do the same. Like, I want them to know that, like, I've lived it too as well, and I'm here to walk through hell with you. Um, but I've started doing this work on people and all ages. I've worked on people from, little kids to great grandmas. And it's amazing just the things that our bodies hang on to. I mean, like, I had one woman that she was married to an alcoholic for years. And she said she was in chronic pain her whole life. She was in pain. And she was to the point where she couldn't walk when she walked through the door. She was like walking with a cane. And I did some work on her. We talked directly with those parts. And it turned out that although her husband was sober now, he had sobered up and their marriage was great. Her body did not trust her judgment because this man had hurt her before. And so every day her body was fighting against her judgment. And so we actually sat down. She was able to talk with those parts that were upset with her and explain, you know, we're past that. He's a loving husband, and she's off pain medicine. She's not walking with a cane anymore. She's living her life. That's just one of the stories.
Mm.
Just yesterday I was at a sweat, and the elder there, he was having a breathing machine everywhere he went, and he was coughing, and like you could tell he was just struggling. And so I asked him if I could work on him, and he said yes. And we worked. We checked in with those parts. He had been grieving the son's passing for a while. His son had passed away. He'd been grieving it. And although he felt like he was at a complete part where he had grieved it completely, his body didn't. His body was hanging on to that grief. And we worked through it just like you did with me. The waves came and I kind of rolled with it. And then once it was gone, the very next day, he sat through 4 rounds of a sweat without any oxygen afterwards before he couldn't even walk to his mailbox before that without oxygen. And he
Wow.
just kept telling me, it's all your fault. You did this. It's all your fault. I was like, well, thank you for allowing me to work with you, because like, it takes a lot to trust somebody with your body. And I
So
don't take that lightly.
so
So
Dawn, you were doing already, you said IFS and parts work and soul retrieval work, right?
mhm. Yes.
What
Well,
did you do
no. So
different? What did somatic mindfulness add to your work or take away from your work that changed it?
I hadn't. I was kind of doing it separately. I wasn't doing it with my clients at the time. But then once I realized that you can directly connect with these parts, your body parts, and you can speak with them, I kind of learned that by experimenting on myself a little bit. And I've got a couple clients that let me try anything. So I tried a little bit on them, and then it really developed into just taking little bits and pieces of a little bit of Reiki, a little bit of somatics, a little bit of IFS or soul retrieval work. IFS and soul retrieval to me is the same. In native culture, they call it soul retrieval. In the therapy world, they call it IFS parts work. Um, but to me, it's all the same. You're connecting with those parts that were trapped or taken. And you're speaking with them, you're healing them with love and compassion. You're not attacking them. You're not going at it being like, I demand you go away. You're looking at these scary parts and saying, I understand why you're here. Now let's get through this together. And that really fosters a lot of self-love for people. There's a lot of people that come in that are severely depressed and they don't even like themselves. And then after a few sessions, they not only like themselves, they love themselves. And they're doing all these fun things they never thought that they would do, traveling or, being out in nature. Like it truly connects you to that universal self again.
Good work.
Excellent.
Good work that really starts with self-work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, we're coming up to the end of this session here, and Dawne, I really want to thank you for being the brave soul that you are. You are an amazing healer. That's what you came into this life to be. You experienced it from being the person who's the victim of it. You understand it, and you trust it in the process. You trust it in yourself. You trust it in your own divine intervention with the universe. I mean, I can tell by just the types of practices that you do. And anybody that's in Arkansas or close to Arkansas, you're the girl.
Thank you.
Reach out to. Um, so we're going to come back for another episode. Basically, we want to hear more about the kinds of people that you're working with. We want to hear more about how you integrate all this stuff together and how does it feel and how do you interact with them on the next time around. So
Okay.
until then, we invite our audiences to stay tuned and we'll be back with more Dawne. So, Elena?
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Seeds. We hope the stories inspired you. This series has been made possible by our hosts, Richard Mack and me, Madelana Ferrara, our production team, Mitch Lieber, Fernando Rojas, and me, and our guests, whose willingness to share their personal stories is courageous, vital to educating the public and creating change. You're all leaders with heart. Thanks to our sponsors, Mind Your Body and Somatic Mindfulness. Find them both on the web at myb.llc and somaticmindfulness.co. Find any of our guests on the Somatic Mindfulness website. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and join us again for more interesting, compelling, and heartfelt stories.